Norway Chess 2025, Round 4. Magnus Carlsen with white against Arjun Erigaisi with black. This is a game about control versus ambition. Magnus plays a slow squeeze from a flexible setup, while Arjun looks for dynamic counterplay and structural breaks. It turns into a long test of patience and precision. Opening phase. Both players choose a flexible, symmetrical setup. Nothing sharp early, no forced lines. Magnus clearly wants a maneuvering game, something he can shape over time. He keeps the position fluid and avoids early commitments. Arjun mirrors calmly, developing solidly and preparing central or queenside play later. This phase feels like mutual positioning. Both players saying, "Let's see who understands this better." Both players start with a very flexible, almost mirror-like setup. No one is declaring war early. Magnus clearly wants a long game, something maneuverable where he can adjust plans as the position evolves. He keeps everything adaptable and avoids locking the structure too soon. Arjun matches this calmly. He's not intimidated and is happy to enter a strategic fight rather than forcing complications immediately. This phase is about positioning, not attacking. Early middle game setup. White starts probing for imbalance. Small adjustments, rerouting pieces, testing pawn structures. Magnus is trying to create long-term targets rather than immediate threats. Black responds by preparing central breaks and queenside activity. Arjun's play is energetic, not passive. He's looking for moments to free his position and generate counterplay. Strategically, White wants control and flexibility. Black wants dynamism and active play. First tension and imbalance. The center opens and exchanges begin. The position stops being purely symmetrical. Magnus gains small advantages: space, better piece coordination, slightly more comfortable positions. Arjun accepts some structural risk in return for activity. He's clearly not interested in suffering quietly. At this point, the game becomes very concrete. Plans matter more than principles. Early middle game shaping. White starts making small adjustments, testing the structure and piece coordination. Nothing dramatic, just subtle pressure. Black responds actively, preparing breaks and trying to avoid being slowly squeezed. Arjun's mindset is very clear. Don't let Magnus get a free, comfortable edge. White is aiming for long-term targets. Black is aiming for activity and counterplay, tension and imbalance. Middle game battle. White steadily increases pressure, especially on weaknesses that start to appear after the structural changes. Black fights back actively, trading pieces and creating threats whenever possible. This is not passive defense. Arjun keeps forcing Magnus to calculate. The game feels balanced, but White always seems just a little more comfortable. That's classic Carlsen territory. The position opens up and symmetry breaks. Now both players have to commit. Magnus gains slightly better coordination and easier piece play. It's not a big advantage, but it's the kind he loves. Arjun accepts some structural looseness to keep his pieces active and the game dynamic. The game shifts from setup to battle. Middle game struggle. White keeps increasing pressure methodically. Every piece seems to improve a little. Black pushes back with tactical ideas and active defense. Arjun refuses to sit passively and constantly looks for chances to disturb White's flow. This phase feels tense but controlled. Magnus is comfortable. Arjun is working hard to stay in the game. Momentum shift. Shift in momentum, black goes for counterplay and tactical ideas, but this creates new weaknesses. Magnus spots the moment and starts converting pressure into something tangible. White pieces become very active, and black's position starts to feel stretched. This is where Magnus excels. He doesn't rush. He just tightens the position until something gives. Black goes for sharper counterplay, but this creates new weaknesses. Magnus senses it and starts turning pressure into something concrete. The position begins to tilt in White's favor. This is classic Carlsen. He doesn't rush when the advantage appears. He waits until it's undeniable. Endgame transition. The queens remain, but the position feels endgame-like. Kings are active, pawns become critical, and precision matters more than initiative. Magnus pushes for activity and king centralization, showing complete confidence in the position. Black defends stubbornly, trying to hold with checks and counter-threats. It becomes a test of endurance. Endgame-like phase. Even though queens are still on the board, the game feels like an endgame. Kings become active, pawns matter more, and precision is everything. Magnus plays with total confidence, centralizing his king and limiting black's counterplay. Arjun tries to survive with checks and activity, but the position keeps slipping. Final phase. White's king marches forward, showing absolute control and calculation. Black keeps checking, but there's no real escape from the pressure. Magnus calmly sidesteps danger and keeps improving his position, squeezing the life out of Black's counterplay. The game feels inevitable by the end. Not flashy, but relentless. Final phase. White's control becomes overwhelming. Black has moves, but no real plan. Magnus calmly navigates threats and continues improving, step by step. The game ends not with a sudden blow, but with exhaustion. Black runs out of useful ideas. Big picture, Arjun played ambitiously and fought hard. Magnus played with patience, control, and supreme confidence. This game is a reminder that Magnus doesn't always crush you with tactics. Sometimes he just walks his king up the board and dares you to stop him. If you want, I can also do rough note-style transcription for this one, like the previous game.